Right, 12 February 2024, and today I'm going to give you an update on very important political stories that are taking place in Zimbabwe, as usual. And there has been a bit of confusion over this weekend with regards to where we are in terms of the election rerun demand by Nelson Chamisa. Nelson Chamisa is demanding a fresh election. He's been making that demand for the past months since the elections were conducted. And Nelson Chamisa has got a very strong leg to stand on. All the international organizations that conducted observations, missions in Zimbabwe, agree that the election that was held in Zimbabwe did not meet the conditions of a free and fair election. And when these reports come out, they are not trivial. So most people don't understand. When you get an election observer report saying that the election was not free and fair, it's not something that you just say it was said and then it just ended. And this is where the confusion is. People think that ED can just continue the way that is continuing. But it's not true. ED understands the law. He understands how election observer missions work. He understands how being recognized as a president works. And so, at the moment, I see people saying, SADC has said this, SADC has said that. That's not true. SADC has not said anything. Hwende is the one who has said something, but it's not SADC. So SADC has not said that there will be no fresh election in Zimbabwe. In fact, there will be a fresh election in Zimbabwe. And this, you can take it from me. There will be a fresh election in Zimbabwe. The one that was held in August 2023 was not free and fair. It has been declared as such. The only question is what needs to happen before that fresh election is held, and when that fresh election will be held. So Nelson Chamisa has got a very strong leg to stand on. He is correct in his assessment that there should be a fresh election in Zimbabwe. And I've been saying this since we started talking about this. ED is in a very difficult position. There is no way he's going to be recognized until this issue of the election with Nelson Chamisa has been addressed. When it comes to Hwende, I want to take you to what he said, and then I also want to take you to the context. So here he says, after our formal meeting with the SADC executive sector, I had a brief chat with him on the sidelines. He was surprised and concerned that some citizens of SADC believe that SADC can reorder an election in a member state. So I know the SADC secretariat, they don't just speak, and they won't speak through when if they wanted to speak. They would make a formal statement. And I want you to understand how this is going to work. Nelson Chamisa has laid out what he wants to happen. And here, I want to play for you what Nelson Chamisa said himself. Nelson Chamisa wants a negotiation, a dialogue in Zimbabwe, a negotiated settlement that is going to lead to reforms. And then the next elections must be held under a reformed set of rules. So Nelson Chamisa doesn't want a sudden and immediate rerun under these conditions. Chamisa wants the environment to be changed, the rules to be changed, then we got the election. But the immediate requirement for Chamisa is a negotiated settlement. So I want to play for you where he said that, and then I'll let you know where we are with the negotiations. So let's see what Nelson Chamisa said when he announced that he wanted this negotiated settlement.
Because of that, they resolved, and they've given me as the leader of the citizens the mandate to make sure that I use every platform, locally, nationally, and internationally, to share this view by the citizens. And they have indicated that they do agree that there was some kind of an elected leadership, but it's an elected leadership out of a contested and disputed election. Therefore, whatever we have is a caretaker authority. We are not coming with an answer that is prescriptive. We can't prescribe an answer. We have said we are prescribing the mechanism. and the mechanism is a political settlement. Let Zimbabweans find each other. This business of repeating, disputes around elections, you don't resolve it, you go to another election. You can say, let's wait for 2020, but guess what? We'll have another disputed election 2020. But between now and 2028, it's going to be fighting. No focus on the economy, focus on slogans. No focus on economics and feeding people. We are focusing on politics. That's dumb. Let's find each other, find permanent solutions. Right now, they're talking about by-elections. Look at the past 5 years. We had almost, 29 by-elections. We spent, over $30 million. Can you imagine if we had taken that 30 million to give it to our civil servants and to deploy it to our hospitals and to buy ambulances? Just a political decision that is. Why should you have by-elections when there's no need for an election? But even the issue of making sure that there's a proper election, we need a window to deal with the toxic environment, to deal with the institutions that are not properly constituted, including ZAC. ZAC must be disbanded. There must be a properly constituted independent electoral board with representatives from all the political parties. So yes, we're not coming forward with an answer. We have our answers, but that's why it is dialogue. We want to dialogue so that we produce a mechanism that transitions our nation to a consensus, finding each other, vision sharing. What is the trajectory for this nation? Where are we going as a people? How do we work together? Even if we don't want to work together, we are sharing the same bed. ZANU, CCC, we are sharing the same bed, and we are the dominant partners. This business of looking onto the wall, this one onto the wall, there won't be production.
All right, so I want us to unpack what Nelson Chamisa wants and what is going to happen. So in Zimbabwe, there's going to be a fresh election. That one is a fact. The elections that that has happened in the past, the next election in Zimbabwe won't be like that. There will be a different, fresh election under SADC supervision. The next election that you see in Zimbabwe will be under SADC supervision. And Chamisa has properly laid out what is needed. What is needed is reformed. But before we even talk of elections, Chamisa wants dialogue. The immediate requirement for Chamisa, and I think I'm repeating this, is a negotiation, a dialogue, sitting down, and after that sitting down, a negotiated settlement. So when we talk of elections, we're talking about much further down the road. What is needed now and what we're going to get is a negotiation between Nelson Chamisa and ED. They need to sit down, and that is what Nelson Chamisa wants. Nelson Chamisa has laid out over numerous occasions that he wants to sit down and have a dialogue. And ED is the one who's been refusing to have a dialogue. So fresh elections are much further down the line. They're going to happen. And Chamisa said we can't even talk about 2028. So the negotiation might even lead to having no election in 2028 because it makes no sense to Chamisa. So I don't think people understand what Chamisa wants. Chamisa wants a period where there is going to be negotiation. And I think you can replay this tape that I've said for you here. Chamisa doesn't want any election now. He doesn't want even the 2028 election. What he wants is to fix the rules, to disband ZAC, to sort out all the issues to do with the elections before the next election. That is the negotiated settlement and what I call power sharing. So power sharing is the immediate requirement for Nelson Chamisa, just in case some people misunderstand. So when Hwende goes to SADC and says, Chamisa wants you to order a rerun, that's not Chamisa's position. That's incorrect. He is taking a position to SADC that Nelson Chamisa has never said. You heard Chamisa here. I just played for you. Did you see anywhere where Chamisa said SADC must reorder, order a rerun under these conditions? So it makes no sense, and that's not what Chamisa wants. People need to understand what Chamisa is saying. Fix the rules, have dialogue, have an agreement right now on how to proceed, the trajectory, what he calls the trajectory. That is what Nelson Chamisa wants. And a lot of people misunderstand what Nelson Chamisa wants. Chamisa is very, very clear about what he wants. And at the end of this video, I'm going to play for you again what Chamisa said. You must listen very, very carefully to what is the problem. Otherwise, people will solve the wrong problem. But the next election in Zimbabwe, even if it's in 2023, is going to be held under the supervision of SADC. It won't be held under the similar conditions that we had right now. So this is my word on this thing. People don't understand. They don't understand what Chamisa wants. Chamisa is very, very clear. Now let's go to the tweets. I want to run through a bunch of tweets. We want to start with the Nelson Chamisa as usual. And Nelson Chamisa here is, I'm going back to an old tweet with Chamisa and BT. Very interesting tweet that I found on the online here about when BT and, and Chamisa was two friends. I found it very interesting. Then let's go to today's tweet. Congratulations, Ivory Coast, AFCON champions. So that is Nelson Chamisa there, congratulating Ivory Coast. Then we have a tweet by Job Scholar. Job Scholar says, this is Job Scholar the second. Someone has gone and created a fake account for Job Scholar. This is not true, guys. Don't follow this account. Job Scholar is not saying these things. This tweet is saying, thank you, Mutare, you real champions of change to reckon with. Soon we'll be taking a bold move towards real change that benefit all. Ignore all the monkey tricks being played by our so-called big brothers on paper, whilst they totally have nothing to offer on the table. This is not Job Scholar. This is a fake tweet. And please, do not follow that account. It's a fake account. Then we've got Charlton Hwende. Once again, Charlton Hwende is gone crazy. He's saying this is what is happening, and the correct assessment of what is happening. People who stole money for election agents are the ones driving this deception. There is someone called Willard Madzivamuto who has been saying that Chamisa is not in the Blue Brigade. The Blue Brigade is this, what Ostalos is doing here. So I want to explain to you what happened. After that, Hwende has gone and deactivated his account. His Twitter doesn't exist anymore. Hwende has been doing crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. I don't know what he's been doing over this weekend. And here is Job Scholar, the real Job Scholar. Sorry, this is the fake Job Scholar. I'm looking for the real Job Scholar. You can go to his actual Honorable Wiwa. That is his actual Twitter account. But what has happened over this weekend is obviously crazy stuff. Hwende was in Botswana with the ZANU PF guys, and he started to spread misinformation. He got a big backlash, and then he ended up deleting his Twitter account. He's actually deactivated it. If you go to Hwende C right now, it doesn't exist, because Hwende has been talking things that he doesn't know. Hwende was very close to Chamisa. As I said to you, when I traveled to Masvingo, Hwende was there, Ncube was there, Tendai Biti was there, Job Scholar was there. If these guys don't work together, if they continue what they're doing, they will not win the next election. But at the moment, as I said, the fresh election is not a priority for Chamisa. What is urgent for Nelson Chamisa is dialogue, fixing the environment, and a negotiated settlement. The election is much further down the road. Chamisa is not worried about that, and this is what he has said. I'll play it for you again before we end this broadcast. I'm going to replay so that everyone understands. Chamisa does not want a fresh election today, or next month, or in 2028. Chamisa wants a negotiated settlement, he wants dialogue, and he wants the next election to be held under the supervision of SADC. That is going to happen. The next election that you are going to see in Zimbabwe is going to be supervised by SADC. It may not be today. It may not be in 2028. But the next election in Zimbabwe is going to be supervised. It's not going to be under these conditions that we held our past elections, where 17 out of 20 criteria or more were not met. This election was not an election. This is probably the worst election ever held in Zimbabwe. What happened with the FARs, what happened with the ballot papers, that's not an election. So understand very clearly what happened there. It's not an election. And also, in terms of who is ordering what, it's correct that the SADC secretariat cannot order a re-election. But that's a totally different conversation. Chamisa is not looking for an election now, or a re-election, or a fresh election. He wants dialogue, which is what ED is refusing. The reason why ED doesn't want dialogue is he knows what is going to happen. The moment dialogue starts and there's a mediator, everything is going to fall apart for ED. All the tricks that he's been playing will not work. It won't work at all. Now let's look at some stories before I close. And we've got quite a bunch of stories. But I think the most important story that we have this weekend is that multiple people are trying to disrupt Nelson Chamisa's new project. There are people that Nelson Chamisa doesn't want in his project that are now coming in and pretending as if they're part of it. I looked at the guys from Mashonaland West. I looked at the guys who were talking in Bulawayo when Ostalos was speaking. They don't understand what is happening. It's very important for Chamisa to get a spokesperson to properly articulate what's happening with this new project, because people are starting to misrepresent. Is it a political party? Is it a movement? Who is in it? What is the role of the old CCC leaders? These issues now need to be articulated, and obviously Chamisa needs to set up a leadership team, people who can articulate the position. Where we're going, Chamisa is going to be the future. There is no question about it. Chamisa is going to be the future. The amount of traction that Chamisa has got and support across the country is unquestionable. You cannot question how much Nelson Chamisa is supported across Zimbabwe. There is no question that Nelson Chamisa is going to do well. Even if you take away everything that he's got, he's still going to do well. Everyone is agreed. There's consensus that Nelson Chamisa has got a big part to play in the politics of Zimbabwe, and there is no question about it. As I said, everyone is going to fall behind Chamisa, but there's a need to properly set up this thing, because very, very soon we might have confusion again. People that are not even wanted by Chamisa are now trying to lead. They're trying to run in front of this thing, and some are trying to derail it. So Chamisa needs to deal with these issues as a matter of agency. So you can go and look at that Mashonaland West video. Guys there saying they're now behind Chamisa, but they're still in parliament. Remember, if you're in parliament, if you're in Senate, if you're in councils, Chamisa doesn't want you, because that's the reason why he left. People refuse to leave council, they refuse to leave parliament, they refuse to leave their council seats. So if you're in one of those parties, you're not with Chamisa. That is the effect of the matter. So anyone who is still in those bodies, they cannot claim to be speaking for Chamisa. Then we also have quite a number of issues taking place in the old CCC. Senator Kalipani Pugeni spoke after he was accused of being one of the people working against Sengezo Chabangu. So I think I will have to find that video and share it for you. I'll find that audio and share it for you during the day. I'll ask the guys to share it for you. There is a problem with regards to nominations. There are now two listed ZEC. One which was created by a committee and one which was created by Sengezo Chabangu. So there are two lists that have gone to ZEC, and ZEC has selected the list that was sent by Sengezo Chabangu. And as I explained to you why, obviously the guys who are in charge of controlling Chabangu want him in Senate so that they can whip people in Senate, they can whip people in Parliament. There are massive amendments which are coming to Zimbabwe, amendments that will need support in both houses. And you can almost bank on it. There's going to be some very difficult times to come for Zimbabwe after those amendments are passed. The environment, the political environment is going to change dramatically within the next few months. You're going to see it, we're going to be talking about here. And then I think I want to quickly go into the pictures so that I can show you other things. I've got a few pictures to share with you here. Mnangagwa returned from Botswana. He was met by General Hwende and Vice President Kembo Mohadi. You can see that Hwende has got massive weight gain there. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm seeing. He's gaining massive weight. Then we've got the 4 women who beat up a woman in Hatcliffe. She was beaten and undressed for being in love with one of the women's husbands. So they're in jail now. They're going to be granted bail today. Then we've got teenage Hadebe. He's moving from the United States of America to Turkey. He's moving back to Turkey. And then on H Metro, we've got this guy. He's stolen 160,000. He's called Majawodwa Dubindlela. He's stolen 160,000 from Sky's Metro. Sky's Metro is a TV station, a radio station that is owned, I think, by the Zimbabwe intelligence, and also my young brother, or my brother, my bigger brother. I cannot say bigger brother. I went to school with Wabongile Skonjo. We went to school together. And Sky's Metro, I don't know if he's still there or not, but I know that Zimbabwe intelligence invested a lot of money into Sky's Metro. So Ingwe Breweries paid them 160,000 pula, I think, as part of advertisement, and Majahoda cleverly stole part of that money. I don't know how guys get so much money to run a radio station, and it's crazy, right? That there's so much funding from the state to these radio stations and so forth. So, Bulawayo guys, do you know that you are listening to a Zimbabwe intelligence radio station when you watch Sky, when you listen to Sky's Metro? It's crazy. You must Google it. It's all over the internet. Who funds Sky's Metro? And here is the proof: 160,000 pula. That's a bunch of money to be stolen. That means you only stole a little bit. It means they get a lot more money than that. Then I want to look at other stories here. Hamilton Masakadza is just about to be fired as the director of cricket at Zimbabwe Cricket, after Zimbabwe has lost a string of matches. Hamilton, you know him, is a very popular player of cricket, but right now the leadership at Zimbabwe Cricket is a mess. Things are not moving there, so they want to fire him. There's been a report after a committee was set up to investigate the events at Zimbabwe Cricket, and Hamilton Masakadza is going to be fired. The two coaches, one of them is quit, is going to the States. Yeah, so there's a bunch happening there. You can go and check out those stories in today's press, or you can just Google the internet. There's a lot happening. And then in community, B Metro newspaper, there is a witch doctor in Harare. She sends bees. If someone steals money from you, she sends bees. And this week, they've recovered 30,000 US dollars, which was stolen from Mberengwa gold dealer. I wonder how that works. The guys were found by the bees, and they took the money back to the dealer. So you can check out the story in B Metro newspaper. Very interesting. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to look at the Chronicle newspaper. I've been very busy today, so I wake up quite early. So maybe we can look at the Chronicle newspaper together and see if they have published anything. I have not had a chance today to look at the Chronicle newspaper. It's my favorite newspaper. The guy who's running the Chronicle newspaper seems to be doing a much better job than all the other people, the other editors. What I don't like about the other newspapers is desktop journalism. Like, you should let Gambako do just desktop journalism. But I wonder how a big newspaper like, let's say, the Herald, can do desktop journalism. That makes no sense at all. Because they need to have journalists in Mutare, Harare, Bulawayo, and then they go there and they talk to people. But all I see in Herald is desktop journalism. This guy at the Chronicle, he goes out. You can even see the pictures that he's sharing there. He's got a picture of people with on the fields. He's got actual pictures of people there. And obviously that picture of Mnangagwa in Mohad, you can see this is at the meeting here. I wonder who's that cop here at the back. That guy looks like an Air Force guy. Let's go to the right. Then we also have the story of raised by a single mom. That is Raj Modi with the founder of Balmex, Gary Goddard. And then what else do we have? What else do we have? No Rains, no Makrimbi. Well, I like this paper. You can go and check it out. And then the story I was telling you about ZC to restructure. So this is the Hamilton Masakadza story. Let's see what they say about Highlanders. They normally talk about Highlanders. Okay, there's nothing here on Highlanders, right? And then the Bulawayo bosses have toured the stadium by Magaya. Magaya has got a new stadium, so they went and looked at the stadium, and we see Monica Mchangwa there. Monica Mchangwa is the Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises. They're talking about her. All that story about Mchangwa fighting with Mnangagwa, I don't believe it. I don't believe he's going to fight with Mnangagwa. It's like he's going to lose if he does that. So what is probably going to happen is, because his wife is still in government, he's going to wait for Mnangagwa to appoint him somewhere else. Let's see what happens. The Ministry of War Veterans, where Mchangwa was, I think they're going to appoint someone a bit more calm in that ministry. They're also probably going to relook at who is going to be the spokesperson of ZANU PF. I don't think he can be allowed to speak for ZANU PF after what has happened. So I think I want to wrap it up. Let me recap. But before I recap, I don't know what happened to this guy. Remember, this guy beat up Mnangagwa, young Mnangagwa. I don't know what has happened, so we'll check out what has happened to that story. Now, let's recap. Let's recap here what I'm saying. Nelson Chamisa does not want the election rerun now, a fresh election now. So I want people to understand what Nelson Chamisa wants. Nelson Chamisa wants the next election to be supervised by SADC. Nelson Chamisa wants dialogue. He wants reforms. And this is what he's demanding. The rest of the things that are now Hwende they're talking about, that is not the representation of what Chamisa wants. And the next election that you're going to see in Zimbabwe is going to be supervised by SADC. That is how it's going to be. In terms of power sharing, Nelson Chamisa is clear. He wants power sharing. He wants a negotiated settlement. And I'm going to go out with that video where Nelson Chamisa specifically said what he wants. And people will choose to misrepresent what he's saying. So let's play that video. And thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I'll be back here later on in the evening if something happens, if something dramatic happens. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow.
Because of that, they resolved and they've given me, as the leader of the citizens, the mandate to make sure that I use every platform, locally, nationally, and internationally, to share this view by the citizens. And they've indicated that they do agree that there was some kind of an elected leadership, but it's an elected leadership out of a contested and disputed election. Therefore, whatever we have is a caretaker authority. We are not coming with an answer that is prescriptive. We can't prescribe an answer. We have said we are prescribing the mechanism, and the mechanism is a political settlement. Let Zimbabweans find each other. This business of repeating, disputes around elections, you don't resolve it, you go to another election. You can say, let's wait for 2020, but guess what? We'll have another disputed election 2020. But between now and 2028, it's going to be fighting. No focus on the economy, focus on slogans. No focus on economics and feeding people. We are focusing on politics. That's dumb. Let's find each other, find permanent solutions. Right now, they're talking about by-elections. Look at the past 5 years. We had almost, 29 by-elections. We spent, over $30 million. Can you imagine if we had taken that $30 million to give it to our civil servants and to deploy it to our hospitals and to buy ambulances? Just a political decision that is. Why should you have by-elections when there's no need for an election? But even the issue of making sure that there's a proper election, we need a window to deal with the toxic environment, to deal with the institutions that are not properly constituted, including ZAC. ZAC must be disbanded. There must be a properly constituted independent electoral board with representatives from all the political parties. So yes, we're not coming forward with an answer. We have our answers, but that's why it is dialogue. We want to dialogue so that we produce a mechanism that transitions our nation to a consensus, finding each other.